Have you ever wondered why Milwaukee M12 has succeeded when so many other 12-volt platforms have failed? Well, we're going to go ahead and talk about that today on Tinker with Tools. Now, I know it's hard to believe, but we're actually fast approaching the 20-year anniversary of Milwaukee M12 as a platform. It was initially introduced in 2008, and over the last 18 years, we have seen a huge evolution of the platform with rapid growth and expansion, and Milwaukee has always stayed true to what they wanted to originally accomplish, which was to offer trade-focused solutions in a more compact fashion that offered better access while still providing a decent level of performance. Now, I think Milwaukee has nailed it right on the head with a lot of these different solutions, whether you're an HVAC, electrical, plumbing, service technician, and even auto mechanics. They have a lot of different solutions for you, but even if you're like myself, which is not in any of those specific trades, there are a lot of great solutions on Milwaukee M12, and I actually prefer using a lot of the tools on the table to even bigger, more powerful options for the majority of what I do. So today what I want to do is actually go through and talk about where the competition is, why I think many of them have failed or some are currently failing, and then talk about why Milwaukee has been able to succeed with a platform that everyone else appears to be abandoning. Now, when it comes to the other 12-volt lineups that have tried to copy what Milwaukee was doing, obviously, one of the first ones that comes to mind is DeWalt with their 12-volt Extreme lineup. They had prior brush tools as well that I think were decent at their time, but then DeWalt gave us 12-volt Extreme, and that's where everything felt like it was going on the up, and they kept talking about expanding that lineup. But then suddenly we went a couple of years without receiving new models and really just didn't get the full lineup that we were expecting in terms of competing with Milwaukee. And now you've started to see them disappearing from store shelves and even hearing rumors of them just going away entirely. Now, Bosch is another platform that I think tried to do 12 volt and at this point in time continues to release new tools. In fact, they have a new 12 volt drill and 12 volt flexi click that have started hitting stores in Europe, and I can't wait till they actually come to the US market. If they can continue that and start to develop others, Bosch really might have the best chance of success there. Now, there's a number of other brands that had pretty compelling offerings at one point in time, but have just not continued to update them. Makita CXT is going to be the poster child for this. They actually had some really nice tools to use, both brushed and brushless offerings with great ergonomics, decent batteries, just kind of a lot to like there, but they just never continued to support it. And at this point, those brushed and brushless models are going on 10 years at this point, and unfortunately in the landscape of tools, that's just not competitive anymore. Now, the other budget option that I think probably has the best chance at kind of replicating what it does, but at a very budget level category, is going to be Skil. Skil's 12 volt lineup, in my opinion, is better than their 20 volt stuff, and it really does offer a lot of different solutions, and many of them are nice to use. But even they have started to see trouble in staying in store shelves. As long as they're being offered online, I think they are a good budget alternative. But unfortunately, they're probably not going to be able to hit the reach that they have if they're not in stores and getting in front of people's faces. Now, there's a lot of other brands that have failed, in my opinion, and just fallen by the wayside. But in terms of what I think has been most competitive, I think that covers it for the most part. Now, why has Milwaukee M12 succeeded? What have they done right? Well, I think it comes down to a couple of different focus areas that they have definitely emphasized over the years. The first one is that they truly are focused on trade-based solutions. Instead of just offering a drill, an impact driver, and a few other tools, they have started to offer some of the most unique and diverse tools on many platforms, let alone just on 12 volt. Whether it's something like a ratchet or the small compact impact drivers that you see for mechanics, definitely kind of going down with different nailers for the carpenter and different things. There's just a lot of different tools that are making life easier and doing it in a compact way. Now, the second place is I think they focused on 12 volt and put tools there when it made sense for them to be more on 12 volt to be able to keep them truly compact. One of the biggest areas where I will say focus on that is going to be on the M12 pin nailer, the 23 gauge pin nailer that came out a few years ago. This tool is the closest thing in size to a traditional pneumatic pin nailer that you will find. Yes, it's going to be a little bit heavier, but compactness and size-wise, it really is pretty close to pneumatic pin nailers, and you don't have to run the hose. Being on 12 volt allowed them to significantly reduce the size and not have a lot of the 18 or 20 volt battery weight that you have with other platforms. I have the DeWalt pin nailer. It's a great tool, but in terms of compactness, Milwaukee is going to win there every single day. And as you can see, there are other tools on this table where they have focused on that same thing. Now, one of the other really important areas for me is just continual improvements. Here on the table, I actually have both the Gen 2 M12 fuel impact driver and drill, and over there the Gen 3. They have had multiple generations of tools where they have taken user feedback, provided meaningful improvements, made increases in power while decreasing in size, and just overall making the tools better. This is something that we have seen with them time and time again, and I expect we will continue to see it. I would love nothing more than to see a pipeline event this summer where they talk about a new M12 installation drill driver. We've seen it where they've continued to improve their ratchets, making them more ergonomic, more powerful. Their impact wrenches, we're on a second generation there, where we continue to see those improvements, so you're not left with a stale or static platform. So then with little to no competition in 12 volt, does that mean Milwaukee can just skate on worry-free and not have to actually worry about competition? No, definitely not, because more and more companies are actually offering very compact 18 or 20 volt solutions that are going to be able to do this. And additionally, other brands are starting to kind of catch on to the trade-based focus and offer dedicated tools, even if they are up on those 18 or 20 volt platforms, to try and keep people from moving over to another platform. Now, unfortunately, one of the big things with 18 to 20 volt tools is just going to be that the size of the battery is not something you can really compete with when you compare a 12 volt tool and an 18 or a 20 volt tool. The one exception to that, or maybe two, depending on how you look at it, is going to be companies that have employed a very small stacked or pouch cell type battery, DeWalt being the most successful with their 1.7 amp hour power stack. There are places where Milwaukee does face threats from more compact 18 to 20 volt tools. Now, the other place that I think was a concern in recent years was just going to be battery technology. As we start talking about some of the more advanced cell types that you're seeing up on 18 and even 36 or 40 volt, talking about tabless cells and different things like that, it just didn't seem really feasible for Milwaukee to offer us, say, a Forge battery down on M12. But as we've seen recently, we're starting to see companies coming out with smaller 18650 tablet cells. And so you definitely could see an evolution on, say, the high output batteries, where perhaps we see something like a small form factor Forge battery. They're definitely not languishing behind other 12 volt tools, but as you start comparing them to more advanced 18 and 20 volt offerings, that's one place where I could see some threat and definitely an area of improvement for Milwaukee. So then, as you can see, I've got a lot of different Milwaukee M12 tools. I do just want to highlight some of my standout favorites that I have, and tools that have really met the needs for what I need to do and actually prevented me from buying larger M18 or other brands' dedicated solutions. First, and one of the most important, is going to be the M12 Fuel Oscillating Multi-Tool. This tool was an incredible improvement over the oscillating multi-tool that I had previously, and both in terms of raw power and just overall kind of the reduction in vibration and some of the other benefits here. This tool is one that has prevented me from buying an 18 or a 20 volt solution for probably 3 to 4 years at this point. I have recently purchased a couple to do testing on this channel, but if I'm being honest, the performance of the M12 Fuel Oscillating Multi-Tool is more than enough for everything that I needed to do, and definitely something worth keeping there. The next one is going to be the M12 Surge. This is one where the M12 version of the Surge actually outperformed the M18 version in their first generation, and although they now have a second generation up on M18, I'm hopeful that we'll see another generation down on M12 soon. But this tool is still incredible. It still works great. It offers some impressive control with that reduction in noise. And overall, I think it's nicer to use than the traditional impact driver on M12. This is definitely a winner and a tool that I have used over and over again. Next up is going to be the M12 Barrel Grip Jigsaw. This was the first barrel grip jigsaw that I tried. Tool show. Sorry, it took me a number of years to try it. But overall, it made me fall in love with barrel grip as a form factor for a jigsaw. But then also, it just showed me that this jigsaw can actually do a lot of things. I actually own the D-handle M18 Fuel jigsaw, and it almost never gets used anymore because this one is capable of doing just about everything I need, especially when I pair it with a high output 5.0. This tool is incredible, ultra compact, offers premium features, and is really nice just in terms of power to weight. It is my favorite jigsaw that I have, and definitely one that has prevented me from buying more expensive tools on larger platforms. Next up, we talked about it a little bit, but it's just going to be the different nailing options that you do have down on the M12 platform. Previously, I first purchased the M12 pin nailer. That one on its own is incredible and definitely something, like I said, that is going to be one of the more compact solutions. But then I also picked up the M12 compact 18 gauge brad nailer, which does have some limitations on the size of brad that you can fire, but especially if I'm working with 3/4 inch material or under, this is the nail gun that I go to more times than not. Nice reduction in size. I wish it had slightly larger capacity, but overall, this is something that I really do love using and something that they nailed quite a bit. The M12 stapler that I have up there is another one that they've done a good job with. It's a really compact stapler. It doesn't need to be super powerful. It does what I need, and it is significantly better than one kind of those hand pump staplers that you have to have. Next is going to be the M12 subcompact combo kit. This is one that I thought would kind of not necessarily be my favorite because it already felt like the M12 Fuel, which are great drills and could easily be over here being talked about. But this is one where as soon as I picked it up and used it for a little bit, I kind of found areas where I started to like using this more and more. This is traditionally what I'm carrying now with my tool bags, one or the other, or kind of putting one on each. They are awesome little tools. They are super compact and lightweight. Yes, they don't offer the same level of performance of the M12 Fuel. They're lacking some of the premium features, but overall, they're great, nice tools to use. They get the job done, and I love the reduction in size that we saw and offering an even more compact solution that just simply blows just about everything else out of the water in terms of overall compactness. And then one of the last ones I'll talk about is just going to be the M12 detail sander. I have the larger kind of M12 3-inch orbit sander. I still intend to pick up some of their other sanders, but this little detail sander is just an incredible tool. Super compact, super lightweight, and really gives you some great control with just a little finger trigger. It has kind of the detail sanding pad with the point on it, so you can get into some tighter places. It's got 4 different speeds, so you can really control how much material you're going to be moving. Other than the fact that it has kind of little proprietary sanding pads, it honestly is a near perfect tool. I haven't done a full video on it, but it is certainly one that probably deserves it because I absolutely love this little sander. Clearly, I could talk about just about every tool on this table and really highlight everything well that they do. There are some places that Milwaukee has room for improvement, in my opinion. The M12 installation drill driver, I love it. I've used it for a number of years. The forward and reverse selector has to go, and we need to see a Gen 2 of it. They could use some additional tools down on M12. I'd love to see an M12 precision blower like what you see from Wolfbox, because I think they have the ability to do something like that, and it would be a tool that would sell like hotcakes for them because it is obviously going to be popular given what we've seen from some company like Wolfbox. But if it's on your primary tool platform, that would be even better. But at this point, I want to hear from you. I want to know, what are the different tools on M12 that you just simply can't live without? Go ahead and leave those in the comments down below. If you've got criticisms for M12, I want you to leave those in the comments as well. Leave those in the comments as well, because I do think there are areas that they can improve, and only way we're going to do it is if we call it out, and hopefully they listen to us. They do seem to be interested in user feedback to be able to improve the platform and continue to develop it. I think we're fortunate to have M12 as a platform because of how dedicated they are to providing truly unique solutions, and hopefully that continues in the future. If you like this sort of video, go ahead and hit that like button, and then if you haven't already, please consider subscribing. Make sure to turn on notifications so you get notified when I put out a new video. But until next time, I will catch you on Tinker with Tools.